I wondered why, Professor Mortimore, you didn't include religious education amongst the different things that you think that are good characteristics of British education. And if I may pass that on to Tim, who I understand from his time in Birmingham and from his own inclinations, sees the important significance of religious education. Certainly in a city like Birmingham, the issue of religious literacy is of enormous importance.
Actually, I did mention religious schools. I'm not keen on religious schools at all. I think there's a place for religious education. I think it should be outside of the curriculum. Moral compass, absolutely. Tim is talking about a moral compass. All schools, I think, this is probably their first task, all schools, to get across to young people a moral compass, and do all they can to support that development of the young people, so that we all treat other people as we want them to treat us. That is a little bit different, I think, to religious education. And as for confessional schools that teach their particular faith and proselytise it, I'm very worried about that. And I look at Northern Ireland and I see what it's done to their society, and I'm even more worried about it. I think there is a place for it, but I think it should be voluntarily, if parents want it for their children, and having people attached to schools and going not in the mainstream.
I've never forgotten the fact that I have no faith, and when I left Birmingham, all the faith groups invited me separately to different groups to have an evening to thank me for all I'd done. I was just amazed, because I said, well, why are you doing this? Because I've got no faith, because I would honestly say it, right? And they said, oh, yeah, but you have got faith. You've got faith in children and their future and a better society, and we respect that. And we never will forget that, and that you listen to us. And not only listen to us, but I've got to tell you, I started in exactly the same position as Peter when I came to Birmingham. Within a short while, I realised that religion mattered to well over half the population of Birmingham, mattered in a way that it didn't in other places. I thought that was fantastic. I became a person who said, well, if we have Catholic-aided schools, and if we have Church of England-aided schools, how can I be in this city and not have Islamic, Hindu, etc. aided schools? I must support that. And as a counterpoint, Peter, if you look at some of the countries, principally America, which has separated the church issue from the state schools, it has reinforced, my fear is, it's reinforced the private sector, reinforced privilege, and I fear reinforced fundamentalism, which I think is a bit held at bay in our society. So I have a different point of view from Peter, but it is a different point of view absolutely forged out of the experience of working in Birmingham and trying to listen and trying to learn. And I know that most of the people I work with don't share that view.
Brian, I live and work in Birmingham. I work with a firm, Maxwell Gillett, that deals with education, particularly special educational needs. I thought both of the speakers were really very interesting. But we haven't heard a lot about special educational needs this morning. I appreciate there's an awful lot to cover. It is an area that's changing, and we've got the Children and Families Bill that's going to make changes, but it seems to me that the parents and families that have children with special educational needs are still going to be facing being pushed from pillar to post to try to access what they need in terms of provision. And, you know, to sort of touch on what both of you really spoke about, it is still going to be the articulate, the well-resourced families that are really able to ensure that those children get those provisions, often publicly funded, and it will be the others that are left behind. I'd just be interested in both of your comments on the current state of play with SEN provision.
Special education, I'm sorry, just in 35 minutes, we couldn't begin to cover it. I'm not sure that the statement system worked fantastically well for such children, but I'm worried about the plans that the Secretary of State has for it, and I think parents are very worried as well. I think the balance of pupils, which includes those who have difficulties in learning, special needs, is really important. I think all schools should have a balance in that way. My experience in the Nordic countries is that they have more in mainstream schooling than we have. They have some special schools as well, where children who just cannot, for various reasons, cannot actually learn alongside everyone else. But mostly, they are in the ordinary schools, and I think that's great.
Special educational needs, agree totally with you, Peter. I didn't refer to secondary, nursery, primary or secondary. I dealt with the system as a whole. I mean, I think there are loads of things that would provide a moral compass at a school level that could make a difference to more kids achieving more things, and we ought to be examining those.
Well, I might be here under false pretences, but it's been a very quick learning curve, and I've started to appreciate and understand. I'm illiterate, born bred in Birmingham, in this area. The gentleman to the left was one of my public enemy number one. If I'd have played darts, he'd have probably been in the middle. However, listening to him directly, I have a better understanding, I'm more informed, and now I can move forward, hopefully in a more positive way. The same with the first speaker. I came from, must have been one of the early comprehensive, and my experience is not a positive one. In fact, I would probably work against comprehensives, but again, it's changed now. So it's probably good timing for me. And the very fact that I can appreciate what it's like to be at the bottom, to be semi-skilled, and then to be in the position I'm in now, that's why I'm here, because I can't stand by and watch young people who can't access the written word, text disabled, dyslexic, call it what you like, I don't, text disabled, how can they educate, how can they learn, how can they have empathy for other people when they've got to have one-to-one or come to groups to find out what's really going on. So again, for me, I'm here to find out how I can move the issue, engage and make change to an education that I don't think is fit for purpose. I do believe government, local government, education, NHS and teachers have failed people. But the question is, how do we bring it round? And I believe change is at the top. So teachers get the right training, the right support, so they're not attacked by parents. And I believe good, quality, highly skilled, highly motivated teachers do make a difference, do make a change. However, I also believe they should be paid more than, if you like, a West Midlands police officer or fire officer, because they are the most important people for the future. That's my question.
Well, I'm sorry about your experience in a comprehensive school, sir, but I doubt if you'd have done better in the system before comprehensive schools. When you'd have had a grammar school and you would have got into that if you couldn't read, you'd have been in a secondary model, you'd have been at the bottom of the pile. I think it would have been much, much harder. I agree with all you say about teachers and their position, their purpose and support we need to give them. The key, I think, in your case, would have been this program, Reading Recovery, invented by a New Zealand woman called Mary Clay, and operating in some parts of the country. People think it's expensive, but it isn't, of course. It immediately works with children who are having difficulties learning and tries to put it right early on. It is expensive, it's individual care, dealing with that person, not failing them, as you said you were failed, dealing with them there and then. People say it's expensive, but imagine how much it saves over the years if actually you manage to succeed.
I think there's a world of difference between, in primary schools especially, in them spotting the difference between children who are failing to learn, which is fine because it challenges them to their skill as a teacher to construct and scaffold the next stage of youngsters' learning. And often a youngster failing to learn is a clue to how you might then act in order that that child develops. But you're talking about kids who start to learn to fail and it becomes reinforced. Hence my point about bounce, finding an enthusiasm, finding what they're good at. If you wanted to change prospects for children who had the experience you described, I'm sure reading recovery is crucial. I totally agree with Peter. I think it's proven to make a difference. I would be wanting schools within themselves asking each year which kids in year 2, in year 1, in year 3, in year 4 are in that category of, we're a bit bothered that they're learning to fail. They're a bit bothered that they're not good at anything. What can we do to grow their resilience, give them one-to-one, and find something they're good at and enthusiastic about, and really develop that skill? Because out of that skill will come the confidence to tackle the bit that they're not very good at. So that would be one point. And if you want to change the prospects of kids at 11, and that's a big hole in Birmingham at 11, if you really want to change the prospects, I'll tell you one simple thing you could do this summer. Two simple things. One is that primary schools could tell the secondary school, look, of all the kids we've sent on in various places, these 3 are in danger of becoming people who've learned to fail. They're coming to your school. They're really keen on X. If you can stop them, that is the leadership team. If you can stop them in the corridor 2 or 3 times in the first half term to say, I heard from your primary school, you're really good at X, right? What can we do to develop your support for that? It will make a huge difference. And the second thing, which is so simple, every secondary school in Birmingham, pin to their English folder as they go in year 7, the best bit of work they did at primary school, and the teacher agree that it is on that they will assess the child's progress, so they don't slip back. A really big difference, and it could make a huge difference.